Did you know that 90% of all millionaires do it in the game of real estate? They have this weird way of buying and selling properties, and as they go up in value and they sell them, they don't have to pay taxes. Normally when something goes up in value, that's called a capital gain, and you're supposed to pay a buttload of taxes. They're not paying any. Why is that? And what can you do about getting in the game of real estate to stop paying those taxes altogether as well? So in real estate, there are several ways to defer taxes or to just not pay them. And one of those tools is called a 1031 exchange. We're going to talk about it in this video. In 2020, when Biden came into office, he was making a huge push to eliminate this particular tax tool. He basically wanted to get rid of the 1031 exchange. And we have for generations a bunch of nobodies that have financially become somebodies all through this very powerful tool. Well, that got shot down, and now the Biden administration is at it again. They're pushing in 2025 to not eliminate the 1031 exchange, but severely limit it so that it really doesn't produce a whole lot of value and basically is equivalent to killing it altogether, which I think no one is going to take a stand for. You can't get rid of the 1031 exchange because so much of this nation's wealth has been built on it. So as long as it still exists, you should get educated on what it is and you should take advantage of it because it may not always be here. So what's all the hoopla about? Well, it's about this thing called a capital gain. Capital gains refer to the increase in the value of something that you bought for when you sell it. So if I bought something for $10,000 and I sold it later for $20,000, I had a capital gain of $10,000. And the government says, hey, something that you sold became more valuable, you made money. And that means that you owe us some tax. And we're going to call this one capital gains. Now, capital gains are realized when you sell an asset by subtracting the original purchase price from the sale of it. For example, this is $50,000. I used it as a down payment to buy that property over there. And then that property went up in value, and later I sold it, and my $50,000 turned into another $50,000. So the $50,000 I put in is called basis. I don't have to pay taxes on that. But the $50,000 of money that I made, the government wants their share on this unless you do something like a 1031 exchange where there's actually a way for you to defer taxes on this. Now, there are two types of capital gains. Now, you have short-term gains, basically for assets that you've held for 1 year or less, and you can be taxed as high as 37%. So for example, on the $50,000 that I made on this house, 37%, that's almost 40%, that's almost $20,000 of the $50,000 that's supposed to go to the government. That would be a short-term capital gain. Now, if you held the home for over a year, then your asset would fall into what's called a long-term capital gains, and then you might be taxed on that gain as much as 20%, which would still be $10,000. And it's like, wow, like I keep 40, the government gets 10. I don't know, that's a pretty good exchange for them, but there's a way to get out of paying that $10,000 or that $20,000 potentially in taxes, and it is through something called a 1031 exchange. Now, the 1031 exchange is named after Section 1031 of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code. It's a strategic tool for deferring taxes on capital gains. It doesn't mean that you get out of paying taxes, it just means that you're deferring them. And that means, well, as long as you follow the rules of this 1031, someday you have to give us the money, but not today. And there are people that from generation to generation to generation will continue deferring and actually never pay taxes, period. What it does is it allows you to sell an investment property and reinvest the proceeds or the gains into a new property, and basically you're postponing the tax liability. Here's the crazy part. I bought one house, it made me money, so I bought two. And now I'm getting the benefit of 2 homes, and later I bought 4, and then I bought 400, but I'm still deferring the taxes. This is kind of cool. Now, there are 6 steps for the 1031 exchange per Forbes. Step 1 is you identify a property that you want to sell. So here it is. Here's the property I put $50,000 into. Basically, I've doubled my investment because I put 50 and I made 50 back. That's 100% return on my money. And so I've identified that this is the property that I want to sell. Step 2, I have to engage a qualified intermediary. This is basically finding the pros that specialize in 1031 exchanges, and what they're going to do is they're basically going to help you sell this property and follow the rules. These people are called qualified intermediaries, and basically they're going to hold onto the cash from the sale of the property and make sure that it gets reinvested properly into the new thing that you're buying. Step 3, you're going to list the property, you're going to sell it. The QI is going to basically hold on to the funds. And we move on to step 4, which is identifying a potential replacement property. And what this means is whether I sold 1 home or 10 homes, I've got 45 days to start identifying the next homes that I would like to buy. And then there's a whole process over 6 months where basically you're going to get these homes under contract, and the original profits that are held in escrow are going to be transferred into what's called the new like-kind properties. What this means is if I had a single-family home, then I need to put it in more single-family homes, or I potentially could put it into multifamily or something like that. Step 5, you're basically going to purchase the replacement property. Like I said, you have basically a total of 180 days to complete this entire process. And basically, QI is then going to transfer the funds from the initial sale of the property into the replacement property. Finally, step 6, you're going to file your 8824 tax form, which basically says, I did it, and here's the details, and here's what I did. And the government's going to come back and say, cool, you have successfully deferred paying any taxes on this. So here's the crazy part. I could literally start with a home, someday sell it, defer the taxes into 2 or 3 more, later defer those into 10 more, later defer those into a skyscraper. Bottom line is I can actually keep upgrading my portfolio and I don't ever have to pay those capital gains. But while I hold the property, I still can get all of the tax benefits of depreciating the property. I get the benefits of tenants paying it down for me. I get the benefit of all the positive cash flow. And this is how people start with little to nothing. Like me, when I was literally in college, I was in debt, I didn't have any money, I didn't establish my credit. And you look at me today, and I have a monstrous portfolio. And this is one of the really cool reasons why people do this. It's because you can literally birth a multi-million-dollar portfolio and never pay taxes. This is either a reason to get in the game of real estate, or if you're already in it, dude, multiply that portfolio. If you already own a handful of properties, let me ask, has it been good for you? Has it taken care of you? Have they appreciated in value? Have you gotten positive cash flow? If the answer is yes across the board, then just imagine what would happen if you had twice as many properties or 10 times as many properties. Well, if you're starting from nothing or you're starting from somewhere, it might be helpful to get a game plan with an expert that's already been where you want to be. I've already done over $2 billion worth of real estate, over 6,000 different transactions. And so if you would like to get my perspective for free on your game plan, your next move, whether you're starting with nothing like I did, or whether you've got some assets, or you're a multimillionaire, but you're looking for a different perspective on how to grow more aggressively with less risk, then click the link below, fill out a request for a free game plan, and me and my team of certified coaches are going to get in touch with you, and we're going to share with you a custom game plan from a multimillionaire of what it would take to get you from where you're at to achieving financial freedom, your goals, and your dreams. Click the link, do it right now. Did you know that there are 7 major benefits for why to invest in real estate? And we really today only talked about one of them. If you really want to get the full scoop on why people become multimillionaires through the game of real estate when they start from nothing, if you want to understand why 90% of all millionaires come through the game of real estate, then click right here and watch this video and let me help paint the real picture on why you want to own real estate. Because it's not about saving money from taxes. There are so many reasons that are way bigger than that, and here they are.